I bolted the Magna subframe that holds the motor and gearbox back onto my buggy chassis. My next job is to fabricate brackets on the chassis to hold these round engine mounts on either side. After I made this first bracket, I realised I didn't have enough clearance in here to be able to remove the mount. So I'm going to completely remake this a second time, and this time I'm going to make the whole thing out of flat steel. I've had one or two mates say to me, "How's that buggy of yours going, Bill? How come you haven't got it finished yet?" Well, there's no computer drawing program here, you know, it's basic stuff. It's cardboard cutouts, it's make things 2 and sometimes 3 times because they don't fit, or you've got to revise your design. It's all hand built here. Takes time, but that adds to it. It's a hand-built project. Now I've got clearance on the inside edge of this mount that I'm fabricating. I can easily get that mount in and out if I ever need to. I've got to make sure that I can get the mount past these outer ribs as well. And that looks okay to me. I've cut out a central rib and just tacked it lightly to the 2 strips, so now I've got an eye profile. Somebody who's a real welder will have to fully seam weld that. That fits really well and it's going to be strong. Here's the other side, ready to go in. That should hold that engine. The final design test is, can I get the mount out? And I obviously can, so now I'll go and make the 2 brackets for the other side. I'll finish the 2 brackets for the other side. Job done. Well, I've just said that sometimes on a scratch build you have to make things 2 and 3 times, and it's turned out to be the case with the steering. This rack and pinion that I've got, which I actually made the front chassis widths to match, it's turned out it's not going to work after all. It's binding here on this joint and I just can't get it right. So I've made the decision to abandon this and to go back to something that I know will work. This is a ball joint front end out of a 1968 Volkswagen Beetle, the most used front suspension on buggies all around the world. But what I want out of it is just the steering box and its pitman arm, which I can mount in the centre of the chassis and solve my steering problems. Come to Papa! That's what I want. 1968, a very good year. All I'm going to do is make up a bracket to mount this. It shouldn't be too difficult at all. Now I've got the heim joint mount to the top of the hub, which is the rear hub now. It used to be the front hub on the Magna. I've got to fabricate the mounting point to the inner heim joint on the top wishbone that I'm putting in. The reason I'm putting in a wishbone here rather than the McPherson strut is I'll get much better suspension control, and obviously I don't have to have a shock absorber going all the way up here. I can mount it down low. I've been making these brackets designed to take the heim joints on the chassis, and I was going to put a tube in there and the bracket on there like so, but when I put the whole thing together I realised that there wouldn't be enough room to make the wishbone. That's just too tight, so I've had to work out somehow a way of not mounting that heim joint there where I haven't got any clearance here, but putting it further in. And so what I've done is, instead of putting a piece of tubing in here, I've designed it so I'm going to put in a piece of the rectangular tubing that I'm making the mounts out of. So I've cut that in and I've offset it as far back as I can, put the hole right at the back, and now you can see I've got room to make the wishbone. It's only going to be short, but it's only going to be long enough to have a long control arm coming back here. So that is going to work. And you can see I've got a full range of pivot there. Just by way of setting it up, let me show you here. In close-up, I've got the bottom wishbone level on the table. I've got the hub with a bit of camber on it, and I've got it level going backwards and forwards. So when I'm fabricating this mounting point, all I've got to do is get it level with the other one. So this is another advantage of building everything on the mounting table, is you just get everything level, because obviously I want the bottom wishbone and this top one parallel and to work as a parallelogram. The next job is just to tack this suspension mounting point, which is also obviously serving as a frame stiffener as well, in place. That, believe it or not, is my wishbone. It's short, but it'll do the job. And there's my top wishbone arm, onto which I'm going to join the long arm that will go forward and give it its backwards and forward stability. But that's going to work really well there. To the short wishbone with the adjustable heim joints either end, I've added this long trailing arm which goes right back to the main hoop, which I've tacked in place, and I am the world's worst welder, so don't tell me how bad that is, but that's just tacked in place. That'll give me a much more accurate rear suspension than if I just had the McPherson strut going up there. I haven't got the suspension coilover units yet. I've got to save for those, but they'll go in there like that, and that's the size that they are, and I'll fabricate a lower mounting point there and double fasten it on top and bottom sides of the wishbone, so that'll be really strong. That sort of gives you an idea of what the rear suspension is going to be like.